The X-Men comic series is one of the most popular Marvel comic book series since their introduction in the early 1960s. X-Men #1 was released in 1963 and was soon realized as an allegory for the civil rights movement in the 1950s and 60s. The main plot of the X-Men series is that there are people who are living normal lives in society, but they have something slightly different about them. And because they are different, the rest of society does not completely accept them for who they are. And in fact, at some point, society tries to find these mutants and force them out of the community.
So, when did you first know you were
a mutant?
But you cut that out.
You have to understand, we thought Bobby was going to a school for the gifted.
Bobby is gifted.
We know that. We just didn't realize he
We
was...
still love you, Bobby. It's just this mutant problem is a little...
What mutant problem?
Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X were key figures in the civil rights movement in the 1960s. Stan Lee and Jack Kirby agreed with their fight and decided that they would create a fantastical version of the civil rights and use people with special powers to fight against the oppression of mutants on a daily basis.
I wanted them to be diverse. The whole underlying principle of the X-Men was to try to be an anti-bigotry story, to show that there's good in every person.
Both MLK and Malcolm X believed that all people should be equal in every way. However, their techniques were very different. Martin Luther King Jr. had a more non-violent and peaceful resistance approach, and Stan Lee modeled X-Men leader Professor Charles Xavier after MLK. Professor X invites these mutants into a safe place where he will teach them how to use their differences to help society. Professor X creates Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters as a symbol for MLK's ideas of safety that he spoke about. In an X-Men First Class, we see how Professor X lost the use of his legs. He was injured by a selfish Magneto deflecting bullets around him and accidentally hits Charles with one of these. On the other hand, Malcolm X has a more violent and forceful approach to his views on equality. Magneto serves as the symbol for this violence. Magneto uses one of Malcolm X's most famous lines to talk about how the mutants have a rightful place in government. Magneto says that the mutants must take control by any means necessary. Just before watching Professor X become paralyzed from the waist down, we see Magneto fire missiles back towards the humans because the humans have been oppressing mutants and using them to benefit the human agenda.
Eric, you said yourself, we're the better men. This is the time to prove it. There are thousands of men on those ships, good, honest, innocent men. They're just following orders.
I've been at the mercy of men just following orders. Never again.
Eric, release them!
Magneto's family was killed in front of him while in a Nazi concentration camp in World War II, and this starts his hunger for forceful takeovers. Magneto is tired of people fighting and killing everybody that he loves. He takes this anger and uses it to form a group called the Brotherhood who will help him with his forceful takeovers. Magneto believes that overthrowing governments is the only way that the mutants will be the true ruling body of society. Stan Lee says, "I do not think of Magneto as a bad guy. He was just trying to strike back at all the people who were so bigoted and racist." Bryan Singer, the director of all the main X-Men films, acknowledges that the story of the X-Men can be used as a symbol for the oppression of any minority.